7:03 on Monday, November 4th, 45 degrees here, some upper 30s out there. We are going up to the upper 60s today. Good morning, I'm John Aaron.
And I'm Michelle Basch. The top local stories we're following. Election 2024 on WTOP as millions of Americans go out to vote tomorrow. WTOP's Luke Lukert says the Secret Service will be beefing up protection around key points in the city.
You can see 8-foot-tall black riot fencing here around the Naval Observatory off Massachusetts Avenue in northwest D.C. The vice president's home is not the only place seeing the extra security, though. The Secret Service says they are also erecting fencing around the White House and the Palm Beach County Convention Center in Florida, where former President Donald Trump is hosting his election night watch party. And it's not just the Secret Service securing sites. Businesses across the district are boarding up window fronts in anticipation of unrest. The Secret Service, though, has not cited any credible threats at this time. At the Naval Observatory, Luke Lukert, WTOP News.
There's also been concern about threats against election workers around various parts of the country, but a key lawmaker is pleased with how early in-person voting went here in the D.C. area. WTOP's Mitchell Miller has more today on the Hill.
Virginia Senator Mark Warner, the chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, was worried about an uptick in threats against election workers as early voting began. But he says he's been encouraged by what he's observed in the region.
We have not had the kind of intimidation or interference that I was fearful might take place.
There have been arrests for threats made in other parts of the country, and there is still concern about unfounded claims of voter fraud. But Warner, who is not up for re-election, says those who have already voted should feel confident in how the system has worked. And after a long campaign, he notes,
I think no matter who we're for in the presidential election, we're all going to be glad when the election's over.
On Capitol Hill, Mitchell Miller, WTOP News.
Yes, the election is stressing people out, maybe you. An American Psychological Association report finds the presidential election and the future of the nation are among the top stressors for Americans this year. WTOP's Sandy Kozel has some suggestions for dealing with it.
It may be hard to do with the election now at hand, but psychiatrist Dr. Sue Varma recommends setting boundaries around social media and think about what you personally can change in your life.
Unproductive anxiety is all the rumination, the negative thoughts that are keeping you up at night, and being aware of what's the difference? What am I able to be an agent of change in my life for, and what do I have to accept and start preparing for?
In the meantime, she suggests giving yourself a break from what she calls constant doom scrolling.
Are you waking up in the middle of the night, checking your phone? Not to do that. And really create safe spaces in your day where you shut off maybe an hour before bedtime and you're like, absolutely not.
She tells CBS News that she deals with stress through meditation and music. Sandy Kozel, WTOP News.
It was another exciting weekend for Washington football fans. The Commanders beat the Giants in New Jersey 27-22 yesterday, and Washington is now 7-2 on the year. It's the first time that's happened in 28 years. Quarterback Jayden Daniels was in control throughout, tossing 2 more touchdown passes. And WTOP sports anchor Dave Preston says,
this is a quarterback that we've not seen since, I would go back to, Brad Johnson, late 90s, because Kirk Cousins was efficient, but he wasn't necessarily effective. Whereas I want to say RG3 had the sizzle, but not necessarily the steak. Brad Johnson was a guy who could play really well. You know, Joe Theismann is the last Washington quarterback who really played well against the Giants. He went 11-6 against the G-Men in his career. Hopefully, Jayden Daniels has the opportunity to do so.
Of course, Dave will have more in sports coming up at 7:25.
And still ahead on WTOP.
Who can now sock away even more in their 401ks? I'm Brendan Hazelton.
Traffic and weather in 30 seconds.